So once when I was a boy, so I come from a family of 7, so there's 6 boys, 1 girl, and sometimes in the summertime or when you're at a loose end or you got a long holiday or vacation, we'd all be getting underneath each other's feet, or underneath my mum's feet or my dad's feet or whatever at home, driving each other crazy. And if you had like a little bit of money, like from a paper round or something, we'd get ourselves together and get on the boat train, which is a ticket you could buy from Manchester that would take us to Ireland. And we'd get on the train in Manchester, and then you get to Holyhead in Wales, and from Holyhead in Wales you catch the ferry to Dunleary, which is just south of Dublin, and from there you could walk, if you could be bothered, to my auntie's house, and uncle Rosie and Vincent. And for some reason, they had the kids of their own and everything, but for some reason they used to let us come and eat them out of bread and toast and cornflakes and stuff, and we'd mooch about there and sleep in and go and mooch about in another city in Dublin, figure out the way in and way around and stuff like that, or bother my cousins to take us and find something to do. But anyway, one of these times I was in the evenings, you'd come back in and my uncle Vincent would be watching telly or something, and have all these books on the shelves in the room, and I was picking up a book, and one of them was called Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Okay, so I started looking at this book, and these people support the NHS, here we go. Good to know. Yeah, so I started reading this book, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, and I was asking him about it, and he said, yeah, it's kind of interesting, it came out like some years ago, so I started having a look at it, and it's based on the premise, right, the 2 authors, and they write this thing about how in the old days, it's thinking like about, I think it was the 15th century, the 1400s, some writer had come across the idea that when you write Holy Blood or Holy Grail, it's spelled Sangraal. So you can, because they never used to put spaces between the letters or between words, that you can interpret that as either being San Graal, Holy Grail, or Sang Real, Blood Holy. So he came up with this idea that that the Holy Grail wasn't really a grail, a cup. It was holy blood, like it was a bloodline. So it was like the son of the son of God, or son of Jesus, and then he'd had kids and stuff, social distancing conversation. So this idea that they'd had like Jesus had kids and stuff, like gone down through the ages, became like popular, and eventually Dan Brown wrote a book about it. Now, I read the book. Vincent gave me the book, said, yeah, just read it, whatever, read this Holy Blood, Holy Grail book. And it was interesting, it gave you a few windows into different sort of times in history, different things that were going on. But it didn't seem to have much like sort of solid, enough solid evidence behind it to support it, right? So, but the important thing I'm trying to get to is that how the understanding of history, if you're into believing the Bible or not, or having a different interpretation of a certain text, it can spin off just 2 words, or the misapplication of 1 letter or 1 space between 2 words. It can spin and change your whole understanding of history if that's the way you're going for. And even then you have to put it in the context of a wider history, in which you've got to have the right understanding as to whether what you're being told is correct. Now, I'm coming to something first, but I'll just show you. So we're here on Temple Road. So in that book, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, it's all about like the Knights Templar, and this area, Cowley, where we are now, is called Temple Cowley. And nobody thinks twice about it, because I've lived up here. I lived up here for a couple of years. I had no idea why it was called Temple Cowley until recently. I mean, I should have thought to ask, but people just accept it. And this is kind of a worry for me, like in terms of the new normal, is that we're going to end up a little bit like that, where people just accept the new normal and never question it, never think about it, just like they never think about why you've got to give your liquids in when you get when you get on an aeroplane. Just over there you'll see Temple Cowley Road, or Temple Road. You never think about why you take your shoes off the or the liquids. You hand your liquids in, and they'll put them in the big bin so that all your liquid bombs can go in the same bin in the airport. So we accept a lot of these things, and they just become normal. Yeah, so it just becomes part of your background, and you never think about it. You just think, oh, that's the name of the place, and it doesn't matter. And we just carry on. We just carry on as normal. So what I'm getting to here is that if you can spin someone's whole understanding of history off just the missing space between two words, then what would happen if you misunderstood a whole event? And I've got two words that might change your whole understanding of history if you've not come across them before, and those two words are Building 7. So if you don't know what Building 7 is, and you don't know what import that has on your understanding of present day events, then you probably need to look into it, because it changes your whole understanding of what we're going through now with the whole lockdown business and the gradual erosion of freedoms that kind of began around 9/11, when things got a little bit discordant and unharmonious, and I think people's movements started to be restricted, and things like the Patriot Act were brought in, and other measures around the world that completely changed what we were able to do and the way we think. Now, where we're approaching now, just to get back to our Holy Blood, Holy Grail thing, because I know you're interested, what the hell is this guy doing walking like that? We're in Temple Cowley, so there used to be what they called a preceptory. And a preceptory is a weird word which only just comes from can only be applied, I think, to premises owned by the Knights Templar, and this is where they used to have their premises, right here. I'm going to spin it around so you can see. I probably should hold it with the left hand, but I'll get in the way of the camera. So somewhere here, which is now a pub called the Cricket's Arms, they were smart enough to build on the high ground. The rest of apparently the Romans did the same thing when they came to Oxford. They built on the high ground, and now we all live on the low ground, and we even live on the below high water mark, and then they all get flooded. They tarmacked everything off so that they get even more flooded. I think this used to be a thing called Temple Cowley Manor House, and somewhere around here was between there and the library was where the Knights Templar had their. So 800 years ago there would have been the Knights Templar running around, but now there's a guy who just spray washing his tyres a minute ago. So it's a bit different, right? But they were smart enough to build, and so we're on a hill and it looks out over to Oxford that way, and we'll have a quick look, and we'll just finish here in the library. So all of this stuff is taken for granted, and I'm sure people never think about why it's called the Temple. There's Templars Square Shopping Centre up there. This is Temple Road. All this stuff, people never think about it, but the changes are incremental, and over time it becomes part of your normality, and we should all be really wary of that, because all the politicians are all together all around the world saying they're going to bring us in a new normal on the back of the coronavirus business, which, as a reminder, it's a disease which only really affects old people who are already sick, and I don't believe for a second that politicians have any interest in protecting old people who are already sick. This is where the Knights Templar used to have a pond, so that was when they did some excavations when they were building that building. Apparently they found the Knights Templars pond there, Cowley Library. So I don't believe for a second that that they're interested in helping old people not get sick, and the rest of us under 60, if you're healthy, you've got virtually no chance, not completely no chance, but just slightly more chance of dying than you would have of the flu. So we need to be really careful. We need to be careful. Oh yeah, and last thing, just to finish up on, because the main point of this is that Holy Blood, Holy Grail book. Just by changing one letter, you can change people's whole understanding, rightly or wrongly. Now, but if you look into Building 7, because I know people don't like to hear about Building 7, they all think it's madness. They don't hear about 9/11, but whichever way you look at it, in the context of a religious understanding, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, it might be misunderstood. That's the police station. It might be misunderstood both ways, both within Holy Blood and Holy Grail, but what cannot be misunderstood are the laws of physics. And on 9/11, a 47-story skyscraper fell down at 6.5 seconds, and there was a study has come out on the 25th of March from the University of Alaska Fairbanks saying that it did not fall from fire. And once you know that The governments around the world have never told you the truth about that. The media around the world has never told you the truth about that. So our understanding changes about the way we respond to media. They're not a fourth estate. They're not looking after our interests. They're siding with tyranny, and the governments themselves are in fact tyrants who've instigated a war of terror based on lies, and currently they're inflicting a whole psychological, you could well interpret it as a psychological operation of terror against us now. They're quite prepared to destroy countries. They've shown that before, and they're showing it again now. And all it takes is for you to understand those two words, building 7. And if you can do that, it opens up your mind to a whole different way of understanding current affairs and modern history that can shape the world for better or for worse until it becomes our new normality. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.